Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got our 5 best bets for the college basketball slate here on November 24th. Of course, again, Sunday, NFL day, but still there is college basketball every single day. And of course, we're going to be doing best bets for college basketball every single day until March. And then once we get to March, we'll just predict the entire tournament. So again, make sure to join us on the channel daily, folks, for best bets for college basketball. And make sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you are enjoying the best bets. And make sure to leave a like as well. And in about a couple hours, or about an hour, we'll have our NBA predictions here on the channel as well. So make sure to join us for that, as well as our NFL predictions that are linked in the description down below. Of course, the NFL today, but of course, again, you still got that predictions video that was posted out earlier this week. All right, let's get into the first of these 5 best bets, and we start off with our guys. I know, again, it's, I kind of pick South Dakota State every single video. It's just because they're a really good team. They're a really good team, and we can get value out of South Dakota State here on Sunday, playing in the Cayman Islands, where is this? To be completely honest with you, where's the Cayman Islands? It's owned by the UK. Where the hell is this? I actually don't know where this is. I'm going to be it's by Jamaica. All right. Off the coast of Jamaica, we've got South Dakota State playing Duquesne. We like South Dakota State in this game for multiple reasons. Duquesne still has not won a basketball game this year. They are 0-4, losses to Lipscomb, Princeton, DePaul, and Milwaukee. I mean, they lost a game to Milwaukee by 6 points. This Duquesne team isn't very good. Their leading scorer is Jake DeMichael. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's averaging 12 points a game so far this season. Trey Dinkins as well is averaging 11. But this, simply put, is not a very good Duquesne Dukes team. Again, 0-4 to start the season. They got blown out against DePaul, and sure, they did play somewhat competitive games against Lipscomb, Princeton, and Milwaukee, but they are yet to win a game all season. And they're taking on our guys from Brookings, South Dakota, of course, in the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Their only loss of the season was a game where they started off rough against Northern Colorado, but again, South Dakota State in their last game against Southern Miss at home got off to a tremendous start. I believe they started that game, they were up 33-8, give or take, at one point, and that one ended up winning the game again 101-76. But a dominant night for the Jackrabbits in this one, in that game against Southern Miss. And the Jacks just have so many guys who can score, but they are led by Oscar Clough, their center. You've got Joe Saylor, Kalen Gary as well, but the leading scorer against against Southern Miss was Jaden Jackson, the freshman out of Bellevue, I believe that's Nebraska, I believe. Jaden Jackson. Regardless, South Dakota State's 4-1. Again, if you've been watching the best bets, you know we like picking the Summit League teams, and especially we like the best team in the Summit League in the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. I say it every time, I feel like a broken record, but I'll say it one more time. South Dakota State knows how to win basketball games. They know how to win under Eric Henderson. They've been winning for years. They've had so much talent walk in and out the door. Baylor Shireman and Zeke Mayo are the two most recent. Obviously, they've had guys like Mike Dom and Skylar Flatten in the past as well. But so many guys have gone in and out the door at Brookings, South Dakota. And the Jacks have continued to find ways to win every single year. They're 4-1 this year. Wins over McNeese, Long Beach State. They lost to Northern Colorado, beat Mount Marty College, and then that win, obviously, against Southern Miss on Wednesday. South Dakota State's real good, and I like what Oscar Clough is doing as well. He is the best guy on this SDSU team, and he had 3 straight games, again, where he led them in both points and rebounds. He's led them in rebounds every single game, other than that just last win over Southern Miss, where it was Jaden Jackson really doing everything for SDSU. But expect Oscar Clough to have another big night. He went 7 for 7 in that win over Southern Miss. Didn't really have to play much late in that game because of, the big lead that SDSU had. I like the Jacks, again, to win big against Duquesne. They are only getting, 2.5 points. Again, this is a Duquesne team that hasn't won a game this season. It's in a neutral site location, obviously, off the coast of Jamaica. South Dakota State is the much better basketball team. They have gone up there and they have won games this season. I am not trusting Duquesne to go out here and win their first game against, of all teams, SDSU. We love the Jackrabbits, and I think it's a great spot. It's a great spot for the value as well, plus the spread. Give me the South Dakota State Jackrabbits to win this game here in the Cayman Islands against Duquesne, and they will cover the 2.5 points as well. Next up, we go on to a game between Florida State and UMass at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. I don't know the name of the city, I'll be honest, that the Mohegan Sun's in. But we like FSU a lot in this game. 5.5 points, I just don't think's enough. UMass is 1-4 this season. Their only win is over New Hampshire. They've got losses to West Virginia, La Tech, Hofstra, and Temple. Again, they've kept some of those games competitive, but Florida State should be able to run this team out the building. I would think they would. So these teams are playing in, where's this tournament at? This one's in, oh, of course, Mohegan Sun. So they've been playing in this tournament, right? FSU is 2-0 in this tournament. UMass is 0-2. UMass lost to Hofstra. They lost to Temple. FSU beat both those teams. They beat Hofstra by 18 points, and they just beat Temple by 9 points. I'd expect Florida State to dominate this UMass team. They are 5-1 so far this season. Jameer Watkins, I would say, is their best player this year. He's averaging 18.5 points. Everyone else under 10 points per game so far for this FSU squad. But for UMass, again, this is a team that's just struggled to win. They're led by their guard, Jalen Curry, but they're 1-4. Again, they took Hofstra to overtime, but ended up losing the basketball game. Their only win is their opener back on November 4th against New Hampshire. This team has not won a basketball game in 20 days. I would definitely expect FSU to get this one done, and I would hope FSU completely blows out this UMass team. Again, FSU in the ACC, UMass in the A10. We'd hope the Seminoles go into this game and absolutely beat the crap out of UMass. Again, FSU has gone 2-0 so far at the Mohegan Sun. UMass is 0-2. And FSU has beat those two teams that UMass has played. I believe this is a round robin. I mean, it's got to be. We've seen what's happened when UMass has played both Hofstra and Temple. They lost, and what happened when Florida State played those two teams. They won. And I get it again. Sometimes math with sports and with college basketball doesn't always work that way. But when you look at these teams, man, Florida State is the better basketball team between them and UMass. And I just don't feel like 5.5 points is enough. I get it, Florida State, again, they only beat Temple by 9 points, but still Temple went out and beat UMass by 7. They beat Hofstra by 18. They beat the Norse of North Kentucky by 12 points in their opener. They beat Rice by 8. They beat Tarleton State by 20. Their only loss this season is against the Florida Gators, but again, Florida's a ranked team, and the Gators beat them by 13 points. That's fine. Again, Florida State's got a huge matchup coming up in a couple weeks at Louisiana State in Baton Rouge, before they, of course, enter ACC play on December 7th on the road in Raleigh against NC State. Obviously a much different NC State team this year, unlike the team that went to the Final Four last season with our guy DJ Burns. Regardless, though, I like FSU on this spot. I don't think 5.5 points is enough, considering, again, I wouldn't say the firepower, but the amount of guys Florida State has compared to what UMass has got. I feel like Florida State's just got the all-around better team, and literally, again, we've just seen both these two teams play the same two opponents. And Florida State looked 10 times better than what the Minutemen of UMass did. So give me Florida State to win this basketball game in Connecticut. They'll do it fairly easily, and they will cover this 5.5 point spread as well. I just don't think it's a large enough spread for the Minutemen to go out there and cover. So give me Florida State, again, to cover the 5.5 and win. To our next one, we go to Riverside, California. We've got UC Riverside and Alcorn State. I like Alcorn State to cover the 16.5 points. This might be a little bit of a sneaky play here because Alcorn State has been absolutely abysmal this season. They are 0-6. They've lost to a Division II school in Xavier from Louisiana. I assume this is a D2 school. Why did they go to Xavier to play this game? The Xavier Nuggets. Where the hell is this? The Xavier Gold Rush. They are an NAIA, excuse me. Why did Alcorn go to their place to play? What? How did this game get more people in this arena than what Stanford gets on a nightly basis? I'm confused. Regardless, I think Alcorn State's able to remain within 16.5 points of UCR in this game. Hear me out. I watched them play their last game against UW. Now, they ended up losing the game. That was, a couple days at this point, but they weren't that bad. Well, okay. Alcorn kind of hung around. They were very competitive in the first half. In the second half, all right, UW just started to pull away towards the end of it. That's fine. I think Alcorn's good enough to keep this game within 16 points. All right, Riverside, I watched them play at Santa Clara a couple games ago for them. They had a lot of stretches in that game where they just could not put up points. And that's my thing with UC Riverside in this basketball game. I don't think they're able to put enough points together to the point where they're able to blow out Alcorn State. Again, They are coming off a huge victory. They went on the road and beat Colorado State. I believe it was a bye game for the Colorado State Rams, and I don't know how the hell they lost to UC Riverside in this basketball game. They lost in overtime. Huge game in that one out of UCR's leading scorer. We're talking about Barrington Hargress, the sophomore out of Inglewood, California, in that overtime victory for the Highlanders. Hargress had 31 points, and again, UCR picked up their biggest win of the season. They beat Cal Baptist on the road earlier this year, and their other win is La Sierra. Their losses are given to some pretty notable schools at Oregon and Eugene. They went to Provo and lost to BYU, and of course they went to the Levy Center in Santa Clara and lost to the Santa Clara Broncos. For UCR, at least watching this team in person, really, I know Barrington Hargress had the huge game against Colorado State in their last one. Really watching this team live, and again, it's a small sample size. Obviously, I only watched them once in person, but no one really impressed me much on that UCR team except for their center in Joel Armo Trading. I completely butchered his name. I don't know how to say it, I'll be honest. But he is a senior from London, England. I mean, this is a guy who was at Cal Poly last year. Now he is here at UCR. I'll be honest, he was the only guy that really impressed me on this UCR team. Everyone else was just kind of I mean, I could see the vision with Hargress. Hargress was playing well. Again, starting point guard for this team, facilitator of the offense. But other than him and the center and Joel, I really wasn't impressed with anything UCR had. And that's kind of why I'm taking Alcorn State to cover here. Again, I don't think Alcorn's that bad. Actually, no, they are pretty bad, I'll be honest with you. Got blown out at home, on the road at Utah, 100 to 59. Then they went to Utah State, lost 101 to 46. Lost to Tulane, 84 to 51. Lost to TCU, 71 to 48, and then just lost to UW. My backing with this is, guys, hear me out. This is a team that, by the way, still has not played a home game and does not play a home game until the beginning of the year. They don't play a single home game in 2024. They just have a bunch of bye games. This is crazy. Their first home game is January 4th at home against Jackson State. Imagine being a player on this team, you don't get a home game till the new year. My reasoning for picking Alcorn State to cover is, again, they didn't look that bad in the Washington game. They were able to kind of hang around. I think they're able to just kind of hang around against UCR. I don't expect them to win, obviously. I mean, hell, look at the money line odds. They are plus 1,200 dog. Again, we don't expect Alcorn State to win this basketball game, obviously, but I think they can just stay kind of in the game and not get completely blown out and cover the spread. So we're taking UCR to win, obviously. That's not a controversial pick, but we like the Alcorn State Braves to keep it within 16.5 points. Give me Alcorn State to cover, but of course UCR picks up the victory, getting their 4th of the season. Okay, let's go on to our next game here. We go to another neutral site one. I believe this is a neutral site, yeah. We go to the Virgin Islands, where we've got K-State taking Liberty, and hear me out. I come on the channel like all the time about South Dakota State. You know it. We went over South Dakota State earlier in the video. And I do it all the time with the Liberty Flames as well. So trust me. And these are the teams I probably know, kind of the best because I watch them a lot. Trust me on this one. I don't think Liberty's able to hang with K-State. I don't think they are. I like Liberty a lot. I'm proud. Right now, I'd pick them to win the CUSA. I think they're one of the better teams in the Conference USA this season. I've been a Liberty Flames fan for a while. I've paid attention to Liberty Flames basketball dating back to Darius McGee. I saw them play in the NCAA tournament. 2018. I saw them play in San Jose where they upset Mississippi State. It was a huge victory. They were the 12 seed and beat the 5 seed Mississippi State in the SAP Center in San Jose. Regardless, so since then, I've kind of followed the Liberty Flames basketball program. I don't think they're able to hang with K-State in this game. I think they're biting off a little bit more than they can chew. I think this line is a little bit inflated because their first game in the Virgin Islands where they beat Louisiana and blew them out by 20 points. Again, that goes to show how good Liberty is. And sure, the Raging Cajuns are not the best this season. They're 1-4 to start the year, but still, Liberty was able to go in there and just handle Louisiana. They beat them by 20 points. It was 89-69 was the final. Again, Liberty's 5-1 this season, win over Valpo, Seattle, and we told you to pick Liberty in both those basketball games, and they hit. Lost to Florida, beat Charleston, beat Louisiana. Now we're taking K-State, though. I think Kansas State is the better school. They are 4-1 this year, wins over New Orleans, Cleveland State, Mississippi Valley State, of course, the Delta Devils, literally the worst team in all of college basketball, probably. But hey, the parody Twitter account someone made about the Delta Devils is absolutely hilarious. Go check it out. K-State lost to LSU by 11 points. it is what it is, and they're coming off their first victory in the Virgin Islands. It's a 12-point win over George Washington. Again, I expect K-State to win this basketball game, and we get them on a pretty close line, too, only -2.5 for the Kansas State Wildcats, or if you want to take the money line straight up, -135 for K-State. I do think they're able to just get away from Liberty in this basketball game. I like Caden Matheny a lot. He's been a baller this year for the Flames. He's averaging 15.5. I wouldn't make the comparison to, I can kind of make the comparison to Darius McGee just because, McGee was, 5'9", 5'10". Matheny's 5'11" from Morgantown, West Virginia. The transfer in from Bowling Green a couple seasons ago. He's a baller, I'm not going to lie, but I just think K-State's the better team, and I think K-State, again, has more weapons. Again, this is a school in the Big 12 compared to, trust me, I love the Liberty Flames, but a Big 12 school like Kansas State, regardless of how they are and how they have been in the last couple seasons, they were a one and done last year in the NIT tournament. Regardless of where they are program-wise, Kansas State should not be losing to Liberty. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. And again, I love Liberty a lot, but I just think Kansas State's the better team. Give me the Wildcats to win in this neutral site game in the Virgin Islands. We've got K-State to beat Liberty and, of course, to cover the 2.5 points as well. As we go on to our final game, and I think it's kind of a big one. And I've followed the Charleston Invitational, or the Shriners, I believe, Charleston Invitational, they're calling it, fairly closely. We've got Drake and Vanderbilt here. Guys, Vandy's by far the best team in this tournament. Vanderbilt is a team that was projected to finish last in the Southeastern Conference this year in the preseason polls. This is not a last place team in the SEC. Right now, Vandy looks like a tournament team. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. And you can say, oh, they haven't played the best teams yet. Well, they beat Cal, blew them out. They beat Nevada, and then they blew out Seton Hall. And I get it. You can say, oh, Seton Hall, there's a lot of trouble scoring the basketball. They go completely cold for long periods of games. And you're not wrong in saying that. The Pirates are a very weird team to pick. They play great defense, but Vandy was able to beat them because it didn't matter how good Seton Hall's defense was in that game because Vandy was just able to shoot it at will. And you got to give a huge shout out to a guy who I was watching that game and literally couldn't miss, Tyler Nickel. Tyler Nickel could literally not miss a shot in that game. He started his collegiate career at UNC, went to VTech, now here he is at Vandy, and he's going to have an impact on this Vandy team for the rest of the season. And Vanderbilt has so many different guys who can hurt you. They've got Jason Edwards, they got Devin McLaughlin, and again, last game it was Tyler Nickel, who felt like he literally could not miss a shot from beyond the arc. He is shooting 37% from 3 this season, but I mean, my goodness, I think he went like 6 for 7 for 3 in that game against Seton Hall. Drake's been good in this tournament. Again, huge underdog throughout this entire tournament. They're undefeated. They're 5-0, but in the tournament specifically, they blew out Miami in the first game. Then they beat Florida Atlantic, and both those games, they were kind of close, but they beat Miami by 11 points, and they beat FAU by 12 points. So Drake's looked great. The problem is, again, they run, I think, into a Vanderbilt team that is by far better than anybody else in this tournament. Just the way Vandy's able to score. Their defense is what it is, but Vanderbilt's, their shooting is really tough to stop. I'm serious. Again, Seton Hall, a tremendous defensive team, a team that went out there in their first game of the tournament and pulled off a huge upset. I think they were like 6.5-point dogs against VCU. And how did Seton Hall win that game? It was the great defense they played against VCU. Well, again, Vanderbilt went in there and shot lights out, and it didn't matter how great of defense Seton Hall was playing because, again, the way Vandy was able to shoot the basketball. I think Vanderbilt kind of just runs right through Drake in this game. Again, I get why we're high on the Bulldogs because of their back-to-back victories, but just by watching these two teams, I don't know how completely to describe this, but I'll just put it like this. The eye test points towards Vanderbilt. And I get it. Drake's got some guys who can put up absolute numbers. You've got Mitch Mascari, I believe is his name, dropped 22 in the win over FIU, and the win over Miami was Bennett Sturtz as well, who scored 22 points. Sturtz has been great this season. I just think Vanderbilt's the better basketball team. Again, this is a team that was at one point projected to finish last in the SEC. This is not a last place squad, man. They are much better than that right now. Again, Vanderbilt, who's 6-0, likely going to be 7-0, looks like a team that might be a player in March. I'm just saying, we've got a lot of season ahead. They still got to play conference games in the SEC, but right now, I really like the Commodores. Their shooting is, lights out, and I like Vandy to go out here, win the Shriners Charleston Invitational Final against Drake, again, to improve to 7-0 and remain undefeated. So folks, that'll do it for our college basketball best bets here on November 24th. If you haven't yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Make sure to, again, leave a like if you did enjoy. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.